which is this number is greater than 0. So we're adding, so show only primitives number, hide everything else. Well, it's got show only primitives number. And it's doing a show only primitives contains on a frickin' T array for this stuff, which is not what we want. But this show only primitives number should be greater than 0, so we should be rendering nothing. Oh, that's not correct because we added a null pointer actor in here. What's going on is we want to actually add the primitives directly, so it's like show only primitives is what we need to add a null pointer to. Well, let's go see if we crash the thing. If we do that. So we're just gonna do capture component 2D show only primitives dot add. I guess we're gonna call reset on it, and we're gonna just add null pointer. It's show only components. Okay. And this is what's nice about Unreal 4 versus Unity in a lot of respects, is you can edit and go look at the code and source and see exactly like, okay, this isn't exactly how I want it. And that's one of the things I need to look at is I need efficiency for actors being rendered to render targets. And basically what we need to do is we need to change the components slash actors to a T set in the background, and we need to test it out. So we should render nothing, but we're not rendering nothing. So okay, so we're getting the primitive component view hidden primitives, so it has to be non-null pointer for the primitive components to get it. For show only components, and it's like if then add component ID. Well, maybe we can just add ourselves to this. This is the standard player. It's got a scene component on it. We've got a camera component. I just hate that it's got this like number of stuff in there. You'd think there'd be some sort of rendering flag you can toggle on or off, which is like enforce whitelist, even if empty, as opposed to, you know, it's like there is valid to just be like don't render anything. So the other thing we could look at is see if there's any flag to like just disable the rendering entirely for the thing. So we should go to capture scene capture component.h. I mean, could we just do a deactivate or something else? Like we would need to not only deactivate the camera, but we'd want to. Well, let's see what we can do. If it's like if foreground actors num is 0, then we'll just do like capture component 2D, and if there's like deactivate, else if capture component 2D is active, is not active, then we'll see. If we do something like this, they should at least stop rendering, right? Let's see if that does it. I'm just kind of fumbling around at the moment. I'm not really sure exactly what I need to set to make this work. So I'm taking a look. So we're trying to get these, if there are no actors to render in our background or foreground, then we want them to not render anything. So we're going to see if deactivating the component skips the render step. And basically what we should see is black, which is not what we see. So deactivating this thing just doesn't do jack. Great. So we have to do more. And I'd rather not just throw in something here where we always have some dummy actor. There's got to be something with scene capture components. Does regular C++ correlate to Unreal 4 C++ nicely? Yeah, sure. So you can go write whatever, you know, regular C++ crap you want. Like, you know, here's just a locked queue that I made, which uses Unreal's reader-writer locks for just in a TQ with a critical section that, you know, is all their classes, and it's just standard C++ stuff. There's nothing in there, and that'll work just fine. And you can mix that with Unreal 4 marked up C++ classes without any problems. You're not gonna, I don't think, be using like a whole bunch of C++ 11 or more advanced features of C++, but you're not gonna be able to do that in most game dev anyway. So I think it does work real well. You just got to be careful with pointers and memory allocation. So, like, basically, if you've got something like you have a pointer to, like, let me see. Yeah, if you got a pointer to an object like this, it's a good example. If you have a pointer to a U, like a U object that you have that you don't want to get GC'd, you have to have a U property that holds on to that, and that needs to be inside of a U class or a U struct. And if you don't have that, then, you know, it's going to be garbage collected on you, and randomly that thing will just turn into garbage and you'll crash. So that's not fun when that happens. Thank you for following that dude, Henry. Hopefully I answered your question satisfactorily. I, of course, am not super Unreal 4 expert, so if there's some other gotchas in here, then I am unaware of them, and they're going to come and bite me in the ass later, so we'll see how that goes. So there's got to be some sort of disable drawing for this, for our scene capture, like. I just want to tell it, like, stop drawing. I mean, we could say capture every frame is false and capture movement is false, and then like maybe it would stop updating. I mean, that could be okay. It's probably good enough, and then we can just hide the things. So what are these show flag settings? Actually, it's probably easier to Google that than to find the code. So the show flag settings, we've got enabled and show flag name. Okay, so show flag settings should be on scene capture component.h, I'm guessing. Yeah, so maybe we can just enable and disable these things based on the number of actors that we're drawing here. So, like, if we've got our foreground actors num, were we never actually doing this? Yeah, we were screwing up, weren't we? Our previous thing might have actually worked. So let's, before we jump the gun, let's do this and see if it works. So if we activate and deactivate the component, does that mean we do not draw? I will still have to hide and show the forward and background planes, the foreground and background planes, but that should be trivial. Alright, so yes, that did disable rendering to the render targets, but it has not disabled rendering to the others. Excellent. Okay, so that'll activate and deactivate those things, and if so, we're going to want to, like, we're writing crap code right now, so we're going to call deactivate, we're going to call it disable foreground plane. Disable background plane. And I'll have enable background plane and enable foreground plane. I think we can do the same thing, where we just enable and disable all those components, and we'll see if that actually, we'll just enable and disable those actors and see if that works. If that doesn't work, we'll try a couple other things. We want the player proxy actor. So once we actually get this camera stuff working how we want, we're going to start unhackifying our code, because we're just in the process of discovery at the moment. And then we can actually do things like add some efficiency and other bullshit. Alright, so we're just gonna actor, and scene quads, actor, activate? Yeah. If actor is active, we do not have an is active, do we? Is there activate? No, there's not. Get component? Maybe we could just move them outside of the clip plane, but I'd rather not do some stupid. Let me see if there's like disable rendering on actor Unreal C++. Is there disabling an actor? Be active as a bool. You should disable tick on the actor while you deactivate it. Sure, but I think there is a toggle function for all this, like toggle visibility. All right, well, let's take a look at a actor, and let's see if there's like a is visible. Set actor tick enabled. So there's set actor hidden in game. Okay, so that's what we want to call. So is hidden in game? Alright, well, we'll just say set it to true for all the things. So that'll disable things. And we'll just copy pasta the hell out of these things because I really don't care. And we're also going to fix it later. So this will enable, disable our background planes. So we should see here is we should see our black background, and we should see awful things happen. But they're good awful things because we want those awful things to happen. Interesting how that is sometimes. Things are going a lot better than yesterday. Yesterday we were just banging our heads against the wall. Yeah, I got so angry at dealing with crap that I just rage quit yesterday. I was like, no, I'm going to the store. I'm not dealing with this crap today. And so that's what I did. But then I came back after going to the store, and then I just raged by myself, trying to figure out what the hell to do for the cameras. We're trying to get basically the impossible, which is 3D objects coming from the background all the way into the foreground without looking like a pile of crap, while trying to also preserve the kind of the orthographic platforming experience. Because if you got perspective camera for your platformer, it's your eyes are being deceived because the distance in pixels actually changes based on which part of the screen you're looking at. So it's not right for platforming. So yeah, now we've got our black background with nothing on it, and our guy starts to glow because basically it's rendering that yellow and smearing it off onto this background texture and all that stuff. So cool. So we can actually enable and disable those planes now properly, and we've confirmed such. So let's re-enable them. And we're probably going to be having to deal with not just the show-only actors, but deal with... I'll write that down as well. Change to... yeah, change to using a list of components, primitive components for rendering instead of actors. And we are now re-enabled. Cool. That's what we wanted. Dig in the dirt. So I believe I'm going to go take a short break. Been streaming for a little while here and feeling good. And we're also going to check in the work we've done just to give ourselves a good save spot. Work in progress, foreground camera now works. Example, test camera level has multiple terrains. Let's take a look real quick. Did I assign the correct tags to that foreground terrain? I just want to go double check that. Yeah, this does not have a tag. So let's go ahead and tag it. This is going to be draw background or draw foreground roll. This is draw background only. Excellent. So, good to go. Allows multiple terrains. Yeah, so we'll just check out our files. So. So I'm going to go ahead and run off here for a little bit. I think maybe like 10 minutes. Might come back and chow down on something. We'll see. So thanks for sticking around if you're still here. But I don't see anybody in chat, so I assume nobody's here. So we're gonna hang out here for a while we eat some soup, and then we'll get back to work. I don't think I'm done burning my mouth on soup for at least 5 minutes here. So let that cool down a little bit more. So why don't we take a look at the scene capture component stuff where it's using... Yeah, alright, well we got the multiple cameras, that was the first thing on our list. And we want to take a look at the efficiency for the actors being rendered to the render targets based on these scene capture component things. So basically we need to close a whole lot of files. So let's just close everything and let's open up scene capture component.h, component.cpp. Let's open up scene capture rendering.cpp and scene capture rendering.h. If it exists. It doesn't exist. Alright. So let's see, we've got hidden components, which is a T array, hidden actors, show only actors, capture every time. So a T array of show flags to control rendering settings for the view, hidden but accessible through details customization. capture stereo pass, so we can call hide component and like actor components, show only component. Get view state, get stereo view state, get setting for show flags. Alright, so we have these T arrays, so we want to look at this show only components, which is a T array of weak object pointers. So let's see where they're actually used inside of this thing. So let's take a look here. So where are they actually used? Well, they're used to add and remove primitive components. And that's it. That's the only place they're used in here. So scene capture rendering uses this to change the view show only primitives array. And are we doing this every single frame? We're basically rebuilding this thing. We're calling add. We're doing an auto iterator on it anyway. So we have a const iterator over our scene capture components, show only components, show only primitives, and we're calling add. We're adding the component ID to this view. This view is, we're creating a new scene view, looks like, every time. So let me just kind of write down some of our things that we're learning here, which is we create a new scene view every time we render. We add each actor to that scene view every single time we render. We add the component IDs of the components, regardless of referenced by actor or by component. So we're just going to look at some big chunks here for what we can do for optimization on it. I'm not going to go in super whole hog this optimized universe. I just want a few basic things. And then we're adding the view family views. We are adding to this view family. And this view family is this like constructed thing. And then we call create scene renderer. Interesting. See, there is no scene renderer.cvp. So let's just Google fscene renderer real quick. We have scene view. So let's take a look at this fscene view real quick. Where are you? So the scene view has This is the projection information, init options, view matrices, where's just fscene view. And inside of it we are basically adding the show only primitives in scene view. So down below the scene capture components, we are actually using sets for stuff interesting. So the question would be like, why they ever use a T-array for the basics up above it? Well, let's see. So we go to sceneview.cpp, I believe. Do you ever use the show only primitives? No, we do not. Let's see where we do use them. So we're basically doing like show only primitive contains primitive component ID. We got like this add and all that stuff. So yeah, so we're looking up everything by this primitive component ID, and we're using sets on pretty much everything else. So yeah, it looks like we can go ahead and replace the whole thing with sets, and there's no real sense, it looks like, in doing a whole heck of a lot. Because I believe the rendering thread is a separate thread in Unreal, so we're going to have a copy somewhere to get it over to the render thread. So let's copy the integers, right? Like that seems pretty reasonable to me. So we need to go to scene capture component.h, and we need to check it out. And we're going to edit the core code to make this into a T-set instead of a T-map. I mean, instead of a T-array. We're going to see how long that takes. And this is actually grabbing the component ID off of these things. And this is in like uScene component. So we're looking at its actor component, and let's see, is it a component ID? Yeah, so it's inside a primitive component. So only primitive components have a primitive component ID, and a primitive component ID is it's just a primitive ID value. This is a class used to identify a uPrimitive component on the rendering thread without having to pass the pointer around. um, which would make it easy for people to access game thread variables from the rendering thread. So they specifically made it hard to access, it looks like, any game variables from the rendering thread, probably to make it so people didn't screw everything up. So kind of what I want to do here is, instead of making show only components a T-set, what I'd like to do is make a T-set of F primitive component IDs. And this is going to be show only IDs. And what we can do is we can ourselves keep track of the components that we want to be rendering to these render targets. When we go to the rendering here, we just edit this. And we can add in our crap. We basically just say, for every show only IDs, create constant iterator. The auto it is just going to be we're just going to do add it. And basically that's it. We're good to go. That has added the capability for us to add specifically IDs and remove from a set and all that stuff from our scene capture components. Cool. Yeah, and this does not need to be a U property. Those are just integers. So we'll just recompile the core engine. It shouldn't take too long. And while we're doing that, we'll just finish up our lunch. Alright. I'll be right back.